This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
It's your favorite basketball player, Tyler Hansbrough.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
Duke sucks and Duke will always suck.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
Listen, this podcast is not about being right. It's about being entertaining and sometimes right. It's a disgrace. It's absolutely disgraceful, and this happens over and over and over again. This whole thing with Mike Vrabel is shameful.
Yeah, but this one is just well-deserved. I mean, there's a difference between just shitting on them and having, like, a real spectacular ass-kicking game to back it up. I mean, they got murdered in every angle possible. I've never enjoyed a football game more than I did that one.
We're back. Clear eyes.
Full heart!
Can't lose.
Play like a champion! D stands for Daddy Tanner. Beep, 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 beep.
What's up, gang?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this, too.
Yeah,
Trust me, I've been looking forward to this.
we needed to take some time off to make sure that the cooler heads would prevail, and
Oh, no, I've been watching those highlights daily since it's
you've
been
been jerking off to those highlights, haven't you? Yeah. 3 plays? Pew!
It's just been an entire podcast season of how great the Ducks have been, and then this is the first episode of where it's a sweet, sweet victory.
You know what's funny is I was thinking about this. I was like, this is your Groundhog Day. This is you coming up for winter or whatever and being like, all right, another year that I can that I can shit on the Ducks. They haven't proven it. I have at least another year. This is my Groundhog Day.
I mean, I feel like I have more than a year. This is the closest I've seen them. I mean, like how they were. I know they've been to a national championship game, but this is the scariest team by far that could have done it. So,
Well, they
I
ran
feel like
into a scarier team.
I got my
apparently.
lifetime
Yeah.
to shit on them.
Yeah, they definitely chose a bad week to have a stinker.
Yeah. We will get into that in a moment, but first we need to welcome the newest IJMS member over our break. Braxton, you had yourself a little babby, didn't you?
Well, my wife did, but I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a baby boy, Quentin John.
Quentin John.
Yep, very, very happy to have him. Mom and baby are happy and healthy. Just, trying to keep everybody alive and breathing, and it's great.
I'm sure you have everything to do with that too.
Oh yeah.
And what have you felt? So, I mean, I realized when I became a dad, there was like a lot of what I felt like. I felt a ton of time just stressing to make sure that kid was still breathing. I would just like walk in and be like, "You're alive, right?" Like I knew that Brody was alive, but there's that like parental anxiety. But then there's the other side where it's just kind of like, well, I don't like feed the baby that much. So, like, I don't know. Tell me about being a dad for the first 2-3 weeks.
You breastfeeding from your body?
You lactating,
a little bit,
bro?
A little bit. No, I mean it is definitely a whirlwind of feelings and emotions of you're obviously incredibly excited, but I have a lot of brothers and sisters. I have a ton of nieces and nephews. My friends have kids, so you have some sort of level of confidence of like, oh, I kind of I understand it to a degree, and then you're in the thick of it, and it's a whole new world. But I think I'm doing okay. Everybody seems to be good. I know Jara's doing wonderfully. I definitely know how you feel though, Pete, because it's like, especially during these first few weeks, there's not a lot of like real value you can offer as the dad. So you're just like trying to, like, you can obviously hold them and burp them, and he's doing bottle feed sometimes, so I can do that. But when it comes down to it, Jara has to do a lot of the heavy lifting, and you're just there to Smile and support.
Yeah, feed the mom. Make sure the mom's taking
Your
care
job
of,
is
so.
to lock the doors.
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
Make sure the doors are locked.
Yeah, and a lot of cooking. I'm doing a lot of cooking, which I love. It's great.
Has baby had his first brisket yet? What was?
You just fucking put it in a blender. Here you go.
Yeah, water
No,
that thing down.
no. Any day now, though. Any
Put a
day.
little beef tallow on those lips in case they get a little chapped.
Quinn's
No.
just going, why did you trim this so much? You know that's where the flavor is, right?
Yeah. So
You know what? It's funny. I was thinking the other day how I want to cook a brisket again soon, and I literally was thinking about like, oh, what would I do? Blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm not gonna trim anything off of it this next one. I'm just gonna go raw dog it right in the smoker and see what happens.
see what happens.
What will happen is the best brisket you've ever made. That's what will happen.
Need to light your house on fire. Those are the best. That's the best kind of meat.
Mitchell just cooked an 18-pounder the other day.
He did. Yeah.
Did you eat it?
No, it's for their family, like for Sun River. But we were there during the cooking process and the smoking process.
I have an update on that too because I saw him recently. Since then, he was very excited when he pulled it out. He said it had a lot of jiggle, but that went during the reheating process. It went a little over. So, which was
you
hate
to hear it.
Yeah.
I with the baby and the holidays and stuff, I haven't seen you guys in a long time, and maybe you guys haven't hung out either. I don't really know what's going on in Portland.
We're recording another podcast. This is the first time I've been here.
Yeah, we're not friends. We're work friends. We're not actually friends.
Okay, so nothing cool to share. I can't live vicariously through you.
I mean, I organized my garage a little bit more. That's about
exciting.
it. For New Year's, we tried
to get together for New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
but it just didn't work out. Like too last minute. So we spent New Year's Eve with Jordan and Crom at their place, and Peter went with Lindsay's sisters.
I felt like something was going to materialize with them, so I was like kind of loosely planning stuff with Juan here. But then I was like, oh yeah, it's 6:00. They want us to come over. I'm like, of course. So, and then New Year's Day, they were tired. They had just eaten a bunch of dim sum, and so it's probably for the better that we didn't watch the game together or anything. So,
gotcha.
So yeah,
the best chance that Oregon could lose is if I watched it by myself. I was doing everything in my power to make sure it goes my way.
Yeah. What was the most frustrating part about that Oregon game was like, you never usually like watching blowouts, but you had to put your nose in it type of a deal. So I watched every single freaking second of that damn game, and it was just like torture. But here I was just like, all right, I can't move on from this. You have to sit in it.
Well, Brigham was in town, and
right,
I
yeah.
invited him over to watch the game with me. And guess who decided to invite themselves?
Oh no.
Jay goes, hey, you mind if I join?
Yeah.
No, just Jay, which is
Just
even
Jay.
worse. And
Jay wore his Ohio State gear head to toe.
It was just incredibly annoying. And it's not like I can be like, okay, guys, this game is not going anywhere. Can you please leave in the third quarter? Like, you have to sit there and take it all in. So it was not fun.
There was a really small part of me, mostly because I'm lazy, but a really small part of me that wanted to surprise you and drive down.
Yeah.
Like during halftime while they're up 34-8, just show up at your door. But it was too much. It's too much.
You should have.
Dude, if you would have just unannounced shown up, knocked on the door, and then just like smirked like a...
But then go back home.
And then leave.
What a move. That would have been a power move.
Said nothing.
Didn't even stop at In-N-Out. I just drove there and then drove straight
Not
home.
even got the... Didn't even get the chocolate shake.
Oh, goodness.
That would have been a real dick move.
I think it was the.
I would
First,
have supported it.
I think it was the first time I like mildly danced around my house.
Yeah,
It
how'd that
was.
feel?
It was a joyous day.
A little Tom Cruise.
The funny thing is, I did not communicate with anyone. I didn't dance on your
No,
grave.
no, you
I
didn't.
waited for today. There's only one person I texted, and I just texted "fuck the Ducks" to Amar,
Yeah.
and
sure.
Amar goes, "Fucking right, fuck the Ducks, them dirty ass fans. This is exactly the ending they deserve."
Yeah, I will say that I was appreciative of. I knew that you wouldn't. I was appreciative that everyone just let us lose that game and that we could talk about it now because and we'll talk about the welcome to It Just Makes Sense. Welcome back. Hiatus, blah, blah, blah. Okay. We're going to talk about the college football playoff then and now upcoming. We're going to talk about the end of the NFL season, which includes the Black Monday firings, the playoffs coming up, and then we're going to dabble into, obviously, a little bit of the NBA because Jimmy Butler acting up.
He's a scam.
Yeah.
I do want to bring this up. I did say this before it was brought up. Oregon losing, Braxton, was totally your fault.
Yeah.
It's totally your fault. Even before Austin brought it up in the text, I told Peter this.
He did say
when
this,
we were
yeah.
at Mitch's. I said, it has nothing to do with personal stuff because the thing they brought up was personal stuff. You had a baby, you bought a house. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. In the sports world, if you're gambling, if you're playing fantasy football, and then you have a team that you're invested in, it doesn't go your way. You never go grand slam. You never go 3 for 3.
Can't have it all.
But you can X
You
out
think
Yeah.
think I'm winning gambling?
No, I'm saying we're Xing out gambling because you're not really betting right now. So you won fantasy. If you lost fantasy, there is a chance that Oregon could have won. But you had to pick one. You won fantasy, which congratulations to you. That told me there's no way Oregon was going to win the Natty.
I'll make it personal. You had a kid, you bought a house, you won fantasy.
No, flying too close to the sun has nothing to do with personal stuff, though. It has nothing to do with personal stuff.
How dare you?
But you won fantasy. Oregon wasn't going to win.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm more than willing to take the responsibility for that loss. My domination in fantasy football just really can't be held back. I mean, 4 out of 6 years is unprecedented, unseen.
Close to dynasty level, yeah.
I would say that is dynasty level.
D for dynasty or D for Daddy Tanner there? Yeah, so.
I mean, would we say the same thing if, Roger Goodell was winning Super Bowls? I mean,
that's true, yeah.
If other people are winning, you can say, I'm winning. I'm winning in spite of the commissioner, but the commissioner's winning. It's a little sketch.
Excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got them, and they all stink.
It's fact.
You are omitting the loss, the big L that you took to me in the Jimmy's League, however, because you and I squared off in the semifinals. I beat you in the semis, went to the finals, and absolutely had the best week I've ever had in any fantasy week, and it came on the final week. I won close to $500, which was awesome. Thank you.
Paid?
He paid me out immediately. In fact, he was like, okay, I'm going to wait until this is over. He was a very kind. He let the loser down very easily, which was,
Are you saying I'm a good commissioner?
Of the Jimmy's League. Just of the Jimmy's League. So
not the girl league.
Yeah. So I was very excited to have gotten the boon. Feels nice, but I can't even get into the playoffs in this league.
Would you trade your fantasy championship for Oregon Natty?
Yeah. I've got spare fantasy championships I've got more than enough of those.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I would trade mine. Mine feels pretty good. It's my first win, and it was a boon. So
Yeah, and arguably that's the more difficult league because it has 14 people. So it's impressive.
it was great. I very much. I honestly have to thank what's his bucket down in Florida.
Matt,
No,
Low?
Kenny.
Kenny. Thank you. I've got to thank Kenny because Kenny actually dropped Devontae Smith on like Thanksgiving morning Thanksgiving morning, and no one noticed it. I picked him up on waiver wires, and he scored 32 points in the championship week.
Collusion to me.
It was great.
Yeah,
So
so
the collusion that the commissioner didn't spot.
No one saw it. I was like, oh shoot, because Devontae, he had just gotten hurt and he was out for maybe a week or two. But I was like, what in the world?
So Adam Silver here dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
well.
I think that's really just stupid management by Kenny.
Yeah.
But you're to to your benefit. But yeah, I mean, 2 out of 3 fantasy football champions. At least we got a couple guys who know ball.
That's true. Yeah. How do you do in Jordan's there? You didn't win one.
I got enough championships more than the both of you.
Gotta let us.
You know what my fantasy championship is? Oregon losing to Natty. Nothing is gonna take that over.
Okay, so let's get into that. So Oregon, obviously, like it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close from the beginning. It was. I don't necessarily want to create the excuse about Tez Johnson and Jordan James. It definitely didn't help to have 2 of your biggest impact players on the sidelines. But I mean, when you're allowing the defense is allowing points in 3 plays, in 2 plays, in 3 plays constantly, and then you can't get anything going on offense, and then they keep doing that. I mean, it was great that at least there was the halftime, so then they were able to score and everything like that. But by that time,
Tez Johnson and Jordan James played the game.
Yeah, not the whole game.
Yeah,
I mean,
so they were taken out when they were down 34-8.
No, Tez Johnson was hurt. And Jordan James never came back.
Yeah, he was taken out at halftime when they were down 34-8.
No, I think that he was out sooner than that.
No,
I know that Tez Johnson came back.
Peter, I've watched the highlights fucking daily.
Yeah, I don't have the play-by-play. However, when you allow a score in the first minute of the game and then you can't get anything going, you're just punched in the mouth. That's that's what happens.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's a ton you can say like that it looked like children playing grown men. It was a totally uncharacteristic game comparatively to everything that we've seen this season, especially the game that they already played Ohio State. Like it was deer in the headlights, it seemed, which is obviously unfortunate. And, not to be like old man yelling at clouds, but this is, they've got to do something with the way the rankings happen after that first round. Because obviously Oregon's going to play Ohio State if they win this round. And, there's different matchups. They're going to have to play them eventually to win the national championship.
Sure.
But to have that game come in this round, I don't know. I just felt like it. I don't love that all the teams that got byes are bounced. I don't love the Final Four that are there. I don't think that it's outside of Ohio State. It's a great representation of who like the best teams in football are. But again, I know that comes from a biased person, so I don't know how much weight that holds.
The funniest thing I've found since that game is everyone is taking the stance, and by everyone I mean Duck fans have been taking the stance of, well, not to make any excuses. That's like saying, hey, no disrespect, but go fuck yourself. Because they're going to follow it with legitimate excuses that they're going to make. And it's like, you only complain when you lose. Naturally. You only complain when you lose. The only thing I would agree on is get rid of the conference championships. I want it to be fair with like you seed 1 through 12 based on that, because I don't think certain teams deserve an automatic bye.
Right.
But to me, that has nothing to do with how those games went. Just in general, it should be 1 through 12. Fuck conference championships. Don't bring in a team that barely squeaked in and put them at 4 and get a bye. Now, again, this is just another complaint because they lost. They would have never complained about this if they didn't lose. But, well, is the bye and being rusty, all of that shit? Oregon sat for 3 weeks.
They did.
Oregon sat for 3 weeks. Ohio State sat for 3 weeks before they played Tennessee. They fucking whooped Tennessee's ass. They sat for 3 weeks. Notre Dame sat for 3 weeks before they played.
That's true. I mean, they
whoever.
weren't in a conference championship.
And then they won
correct.
that. They not the same whooping, but they won that pretty handily. So using that, Ohio State took care of fucking business.
Yeah.
They took care of Tennessee and they took care of Oregon.
Yeah, I think that like the debate that I want to have here, or I mean, we can, however it plays out, is that I agree with you when it comes to the conference championships, and I think that there should be an advantage to reseeding. I think that reseeding should happen after every round. Because, I mean, it just like, what advantage did Oregon have this year? And the fact is, it's situational that it's Oregon. It could have been Ohio State it could have been flipped on its head, right? I mean, there's a little bit extra juice here because you're talking with 2 Duck fans as well. But, like, what advantage did the 13-0 conference champion, blah, 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 have when, like, you could have ended up playing a 12 seed or anything like that? And so that's kind of the debate that I'm wondering about.
I don't completely disagree, like I said, with the reseeding, but if we're going by the opinion of Mr. We don't play for clicks fucking doucher Lanning,
sure,
he's always gone by, you want to be the best, you play the fucking best.
Yeah.
And you know what? If Oregon got a pretty easy bracket, they're still going to have to run into the best.
Right.
You just ran into them earlier, and you didn't take care of business.
You ran into them earlier, sure. Yeah, I mean, you have to be everyone in order to be a champion.
Who's to say that they would have been opposite brackets of Ohio State? They met Ohio State in the Natty, and this is exactly how the game would have gone.
Potentially.
Right?
And that I don't think that, at least that's not what I'm saying. Like I said before, we would have had to play Ohio State eventually. We got our asses kicked. There's no excuse for what happened in that game. This doesn't even have to be Oregon. All 4 teams that had the bye lost their game.
It's crazy, right?
So it's not just an individual thing.
As far as if we're going by the argument of rust and having a bye, the Sun Devils were kind of fucked in that game in a way.
Yeah.
There was some unwritten rule that was brought up kind of to favor Texas, but Arizona State gave them a run for their fucking money. They could have easily won that game.
Yeah, it was the game of the playoffs.
Fucking
so far,
Scatabo or whatever that fucking guy is, he balled the fuck out.
It's a monster.
He balled out. He was throwing up on the fucking sideline and he balled out.
Yeah.
And I think what it tells us is Oregon barely survived Ohio State at Autzen.
Yeah, they won
squeaked
by a technicality.
I don't know. They didn't win by a technicality. I don't want to discredit them for that win, but Will Howard fucked up time management at the end of that game, and they squeaked by a point. And then they play them again in a neutral place. Oregon fans travel well, and fucking Ohio State, a freshman beat them. I mean, Jeremiah Smith with 100 and fucking something yards and one half. That guy was an NFL receiver. Where the fuck was he in the first game?
Yeah, give that guy his literal roses for that game. That guy was superhuman.
I say give
that game.
Chip Kelly a lot of fucking flowers for finding that guy and focusing on him because they couldn't stop him.
It was that was when you talk about when you see like NFL players playing amongst others, you just go like that guy is immediately like a first round pick.
What a beautiful game. I mean, that's ass kicking for the fucking century.
But I think that okay, so here are my thoughts for and I think Braxton has alluded to it, if not said it already. You reseed, you get your ranking is your seeding. Your seeding is your ranking. All that other stuff be damned. And then so you keep the structure. We have the first round buys, but then after the first round of those guys, then you reseed. The number one plays the lowest seed, and then you go from there.
Agreed.
I think we're saying the same thing when it comes to that, because I feel like that'll naturally happen if you get rid of conference championships, because you have to go by seeding. You have to go by who earned it throughout the regular season.
Yeah, and you could even still give the conference champions an automatic bid, but that doesn't give them an automatic bye. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Because at the end of the day, if you just got rid of conference championships and you are having teams like ASU or Boise State kind of escape some of the bigger games and you just seed it fairly 1 through 12, and I'm looking at all the teams, there's at least 3 teams I didn't think Oregon can get by. I didn't think Oregon was going to get by Tennessee, and maybe I could be like the most wrong on that one, but I didn't think they were going to get by Notre Dame. Notre Dame's defense is playing out of their fucking minds, in Ohio State. But Georgia played the toughest schedule of all of the teams, but they've been hot and cold.
Yeah, and then with the uncertainty of Carson Beck as well, I think that was like.
But people were picking Georgia because of the name.
Yeah,
people were just picking Georgia because of the name. But I didn't think that. I put a bet on Notre Dame just because I thought Notre Dame would just look superior.
Yeah,
but Ohio State was the favorite going into it, and even then I was like, I don't know, they lost to fucking Michigan, dude. Like. Of all the teams to lose to, you don't lose to Michigan. And then they go out and do that to Oregon.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to question.
I mean, Ryan Day can't beat Michigan. I think that's just what we've all learned. So.
But it's maybe they have Michigan to thank for that ass kicking they put to fucking Oregon.
And Braxton was talking about it earlier. And it's like you can't like overlook the fact that like all the lower seeds are the ones who have progressed. No one who had the first round bye is still playing. And so you just kind of look like Penn State, you know, I know that they're kind of the biggest one that I look at, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. We're just kind of like, okay, I could have played an extra week and I would have gotten SMU, and then I could have played Boise State again, and then here I would still be playing, right? Like you're rewarding mulligans here. And I don't think that like that sets a good example at all.
Yeah,
You just had a 13-0 team, the only one in the country who gets the draw of the super team.
The whole seeding thing, I definitely agree with, because that's fair. The whole buy and rust argument is such a bullshit excuse. It's going to be a bullshit excuse every fucking season.
I don't think I'm going for. I don't know if you're saying I'm saying that, because I don't think I'm saying that.
It's not like you guys are hammering that, but clearly that's. I haven't heard a single Duck fan, and I'm surrounded by them, not bring up that fact. You wouldn't bring that up, because the thing with a bye, that 90% of the time, that's a positive thing. Oh, we got hurt star players. They can rest.
Yeah,
they can rest. And if you had beaten Ohio State, this is a non-issue, but you lost. Right. You lost in a fucking spectacular fashion.
Yeah.
So now it's an issue. Now it's a fucking issue. We were rusty. We hadn't played in 3 weeks. We were cold. No, this is a good thing. A bye has always been a good fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean,
you lost, so it's an excuse.
There's always two sides of the coin, right?
But this isn't like this isn't a new stance. The last time we recorded, we were talking about how, I don't think that the structure is right. Is the bye week actually an advantage? Should Oregon have just lost to Penn State to take that lower seed and have a home game? So it's not like we were just pulling this out of our ass because they lost. These are same things we were saying even before the game had happened. Just because if it was something that just happened to Oregon, I would get your point a little bit more, Miguel. But I think that with this being a new structure, and if they keep everything the exact same they did this year into next year, I think at the end of the college football season, you're going to see teams question okay, should we maybe rest guys and not play because we want to get different seating? We don't want to buy. All 4 of the buy teams lost last year. Is this kind of a sign that we shouldn't do that? I think that it's going to make teams, have those thoughts, which I don't think is good for college football as a whole.
You know what?
But you have not a ton, but you have at least a couple examples of teams who went through the same thing but took care of business. Because the thing with your coach is as stubborn as Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell who goes for every fourth down. Well, Dan Lanning goes, why would we sit out the Penn State game? No, we prove we're the best and we fucking win that. So do we put this on him? Do we put the whole decision on him? Because technically, these are the rules presented in front of you, and you could play the game the way that James Harden plays the NBA game. You could cater to that game and be like, no, we don't want we want to play. So why not? Let's lose this game. We don't want to be a Big Ten champion.
Yeah. It would be interesting, like, if we were to, like, rethink how this would have gone. If Oregon would have lost, that would have put Georgia in as the number 1 seed. I mean, I think we could, like, in theory, like, look at that and be like, okay, then Ohio State would have been here and Penn State would have been there. Penn State would have probably been the 2, right? Then Ohio State would probably be, like, the 6 or 7. So, like, I'm just curious, like, how that whole thing would have gone to the point where it's like, hey, what if Kirby Smart was the one who lost to Ohio State? Do we think that something may have gotten immediately done because of that, and how, like, SEC would have been so up in arms about this whole thing? I'm curious, like, what would have happened if it wasn't Oregon and if it was, like, a Kirby Smart team that ended up into this buzzsaw of Ohio State. But
I think, and I don't blame you for having that point that you're making, but you are no longer that team.
Yeah.
You're I understand the separation between SEC, but even now, when you bring up SEC shit, Lane Kiffin gets laughed at.
Yeah.
You're no longer the Oregon team that's flying under the radar, that's not getting, favors and shit. Oregon's that team now.
Yeah.
We are talking about Oregon as one of those teams. Yeah, they don't have any national championships, but unfortunately for me, we are talking about them as one of those teams. So they're on the spotlight. It's not like, oh, there's not going to be any rules change because of this. Oregon's a pretty dominant team now, year after year. So I don't think you could squeak by anymore and not be paid attention to.
There was really only one team. And Braxton, do you have something to add to that?
No, I was just going to kind of give my final thought on it. Just because obviously it's a shitty way to end the season, especially when you're undefeated. But I know that, people like Miguel and the haters, of which there are many, are going to, really focus on this game. At the end of the day, the Ducks were incredible this year. Loved every second of it. It's a shitty way to end it, but you can't deny that's one of the best teams that's come through Eugene. So we'll see what we can do next year.
Yeah. If there was one team that really took their opportunity during bowl season, it was a team that Miguel just brought up, was Ole Miss. I mean, they absolutely trounced Duke in their bowl game. I mean, they just ran up the score. They said, I understand that, you had Jalen Milroe playing against Michigan, and apparently Alabama can't beat Michigan either. But it's not as if, Alabama, while they end up, not having guys playing, looked like they deserved to be there. It was the same song and dance. It was this year was you contain Jalen Milroe, you're fine. And I thought that Ole Miss really took that opportunity to say, we deserve to be there. And I appreciated the stomping on the neck that they did to Duke, because it was kind of the message that maybe will look good for him when they're reconsidering next year.
Well, what doesn't look good for him is, while they're doing positive shit like that, is he can't stop running his fucking
That's true.
Twitter or X. Because the thing is, you can say all fucking day that you deserve this and you deserve that. Well, don't lose to unranked teams. Don't lose your opportunity to don't give them a reason to not put you in there. Because if Ole Miss did not fuck up in the regular season, do I think they would be one of the most dominant, more dominant teams in the playoffs? Absolutely. They would have had a chance to make it to the national championship, but you fucked up the same way that Alabama fucked up.
Yeah.
Don't lose to Vanderbilt.
Oh, Braxton's gone.
He's just reaching for something.
Okay.
But we've talked about this. We've said this about the Alabama team. The successful Bama teams have always not been about the QB. It's been about the whole team. This year is about Jalen Milroe. So you stop Jalen Milroe, you stop them. The guy definitely makes a lot of mistakes. It's like watching Jameis Winston play.
So when we have, I mean, like, again, we talked a little bit about it. The Texas-Arizona State game was simply incredible. It was so fun to watch. I knew that that's how it was going to end. Unfortunately, I was just kind of like, this feels like the cadence is going to take. But man, Arizona State. It seemed like Arizona State did that all year long. They were just like at the end of the game, there was always their head coach Dillingham who was just like so upset about something. Students are running on the field. There's 10-minute delays. Now here you get this double overtime game.
Yeah, they're always in the thick of it. But that's the best kind of college football team to watch. Arizona State, watching those games this year was every single one seemed to have something going on.
You didn't expect them to be there.
Right.
No, they
kept proving it.
They were predicted to be last place, right, in the Big 12.
They were.
They
Good for them.
won. They won the conference.
Yeah, I wonder what their odds were to make the college football playoff at the beginning of the year.
Oh. By the way, I am completely okay with spending the entire episode about Ohio State, Oregon. I mean,
I'm going to choose to move on.
It's been 20 episodes of just how great Oregon's
what else
been.
You got?
And
this is your time. This is your
dude.
This is your
Miguel,
time.
do you know how many episodes you've had shitting on Oregon? Probably a lot more.
Yeah, but this one is well deserved. I mean, there's a difference between just shitting on them and having like a real spectacular ass-kicking game to back it up. I mean, they got murked in every angle possible by a fucking freshman and the guy who fucked up the first game. It was incredible to watch. It was absolutely incredible to watch. I've never enjoyed a football game more than I did that one.
You know, and this is another optics thing. I know that Dan Lanning really has been practicing his media stuff where he's just like a smiley motherfucker all the time. I really didn't want him smiling when he was talking after. You know, it's just like, just fix your face. You know, is that fair to say, like, I don't know if it is or not.
Want to be a good sport?
No, I didn't. I wanted to say, well, you got to ask. I want your freaking head in your, looking down.
You want authenticity.
Yeah, I don't want this like, oh yeah, remember how, Ohio State lost to Michigan too? We just didn't have our day. It's like, fucking sulk for a minute, dude.
Not everybody deals with depression like we do, you know.
I know he's got
damn him for being a happy individual.
He's got 10 million reasons to be happy, doesn't he?
I don't know how you guys watch that. Okay, let me ask first. Where did you watch that game? Did you watch it with Kirk Herbstreit commentating?
Yeah.
So I didn't know, and honest to God, I didn't know that it was playing on 2 channels.
Yeah, it was playing on a ton of channels, for sure.
And I didn't know that this was like, it's like Monday Night Football. You have fucking Troy Aikman and Joe Buck.
Yep.
And then you have the Manning cast.
Correct.
So I didn't know I was watching the Manning cast. And it was Pat McAfee.
You were watching the McAfee?
And I had no idea because I'm like, okay, 736 for my cable. I turn it on, and I'm just hearing Pat McAfee and his entire crew going, wide ass fucking open. And I'm like, holy shit, this is incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
And how is this allowed? Because I don't know if you remember the touchdown that put him up 24-0, but Jeremiah Smith was wide open in that one fade route.
Yeah.
And Pat McAfee goes, wide ass fucking open. There he is. And I'm like, how is this allowed? And this is fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's cable for you, baby.
And so I switch and I'm like, oh, this isn't the real one. So I watch and I'm like, I love Kirk Herbstreit. I got to go back to the other one.
Yeah.
As much as I hate Pat McAfee sometimes, watching them do the play-by-play of that game was so entertaining.
Yeah, well, it was a kind of a nightmare scenario for ESPN because they had that game go into overtime. So they had to start the Rose Bowl literally on ESPN too.
I think that's why I went to the second one.
Exactly, because I was also watching the normal feed, and then all of a sudden it just flipped, and you're all like, oh, now that's Pat McAfee. It literally followed one sentence, so they just flipped the feed.
It was awesome. They were just cussing up a storm and going, Dylan Gabriel is getting his ass kicked right now, and I'm like, how is this all allowed? This is fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
how beautiful! I kind of wish I would have watched that with
Or
you guys.
McAfee goes, "These guys stink."
I mean, they were dropping fucking f-bombs and
Yeah.
shit everywhere. I mean, I don't think would have been a horrible.
The college football semifinal coming up Thursday, January 9th and Friday, January 10th. We have
Oregon's not playing in it.
Notre Dame is a 1.5 point favorite over Penn State in the Orange Bowl. And then you have Ohio State is a 5.5 point favorite over Texas.
Oh, Pete
In the
saying that
Sugar
Notre Dame
Bowl,
will
or
be in
the
the
Cotton
Natty, huh? Beginning of the season against you. Oh,
We'll
it's
see.
only $20.
Is that right?
It's
All
only
right.
20.
Only 20. Yeah, I mean, I will, at this point, stand on my Notre Dame business.
Double
and,
down.
And
Double
I
down
will
on the
double
20.
down and see if anyone wants to take
No, I
Notre Dame against the field.
I believe in the Irish. Braxton, that's technically a good bet for you. Oh, they're gonna face Ohio State.
Ohio State's not a bad bet. You could have Ohio State here. Double up, baby.
I kind of want Ohio State to win the whole thing so I can then say that we're actually the national champions because we beat them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess Michigan could then also say that. But
Exactly.
So do you want to take another bet?
What?
So that it's you take Ohio State, I take Notre Dame. If neither wins, it's a wash.
That's
You know, that could be interesting because that does kind of hedge my bet with Miguel.
Yeah, I stood to lose a lot of money
Yeah.
if Oregon won the national championship. That's part of my joy. There was a lot of like increased odds for him.
Right. So what was that bet again? What did he end up losing? Like 50, 20?
He hasn't lost anything right now. Right now we're even
Okay.
because
Yeah.
he got 3-1. So I was down before the Oregon-Ohio State game. I was down 100 to him because Oregon was in the top 6.
Yeah.
I made that bet. That was real stupid.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
That was like 3 months before college football started. So I was down 100. But then we made a bet of a straight or 3-1. Oregon wins the Natty, he wins 300. Anybody else wins, I win 100. So that evened us up with that one. But there's one remaining. If Oregon wins, he wins 100. If Ohio State wins, I win 100.
Oh, gotcha.
Everything else is a wash. So right now we're dead even, but I stand to possibly win 100 if Ohio State takes the whole thing.
So you're looking for the hedge on the other side, which you would basically then stand to lose less.
Yeah, so yeah, that's true. So yeah, I'll do it.
For how much? Are we talking 20, 50? What are we doing here?
Let's do 50.
$50.
There's
Notre
so much
Dame.
hesitation.
Let's do 50. Daddy Tanner. Woo! Grambling.
Yeah,
If Peter wins, he gets to rename your baby.
no.
Yeah. I don't think that I will never call him Daddy Tanner now.
It
It's
sounds
just-
like
Huh?
Danny Tanner from Full House.
That's exactly why. There you go. Way to connect the pieces on
I didn't
that
know you
one.
watched that.
I a little
Hey.
bit.
Speaking of sitcoms, have
What a
you guys ever
transition.
watched? Have you guys ever watched Gilmore Girls?
Fuck yeah. Rory? Hell yeah.
Oh my God. You're in your Gilmore Girls era.
I am.
Yeah.
I just got into season 2. It's one of those shows where it's like I don't know if I like it, but I can't stop watching.
You'll like it. But I'll tell you the part you won't like. They're not as slutty as Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
That's the only downside.
It's like me when I first had pesto. I'm like, do I like that? Yeah,
But
I do like that.
If you remember, if the mom at Gossip Girl or Gilmore Girls, if you remember her as the bad Santa Billy Bob Thornton bartender,
Oh,
it'll
sure.
change your entire opinion on the whole show.
Never seen Bad Santa.
I have 2
Jeez.
follow-up questions, Braxton. 1, are you watching it alone? And 2, what time of day are you watching it?
Yes, I am watching it alone.
Okay.
and I
Gotta be at
watch
noon.
it. No, I watch it at night.
Ooh.
Dude,
In lieu of, I don't know. I don't watch the show. Is it sexual? It's not sexual.
Gilmore
No,
Girls?
I have no idea.
It's a,
I've
fa-
never-
it's a fucking
not at
family
all.
show, dude.
Yeah, it was on the
Maybe I'm confusing it
CW
with
at
the
like
Gossip
6
Girl.
p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Gossip Girl or Gilmore Girls is a family show, but
Okay.
you would also be lying if you tell me you've not jerked off to Gilmore Girls.
to Gilmore Girls?
Yeah,
To who?
to Rory and the mom.
Or what if it was just on, but you were just never mind.
In the season that I'm on right now, Rory is like 14.
Okay, wait till later seasons. I mean, yeah.
and I don't find Lorelai. I mean, she's a pretty woman, but I don't find her that attractive.
You will.
I love Braxton's glasses and how they're getting fogged up because it makes them look like a bug.
Are they?
Yeah, are they a
Oh,
little
yeah.
foggy? Yeah.
I'm
so
perspirating.
so Notre Dame, Penn State.
Notre Dame takes that.
I think Notre Dame wins this by over a touchdown.
Well,
I don't think this game's going to be close.
I don't think you can discount. You have to remember Penn
I'm
State.
gonna discount Penn State
How? Why?
because they haven't shown up in any big games so far this year.
Oregon beat them by 8 points. They showed up in that fucking game. They showed up in every game since that mattered. This is not. I think Notre Dame will win, but I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk for Notre Dame. There
I
are
think
two great defenses that are left.
I think that game against Oregon was a bit of an anomaly. I mean, you look at this game, it says 44.5 points is your over-under here. I mean, like, Penn State isn't going out and, like, scoring that many. That became a shootout. All bets were off in that Big Ten game when you start scoring, like, 80, 90 points. I mean, like, there's just some times where you just go, okay, we're just going to punch each other in the mouth until the clock hits zero.
You're that confident about Notre Dame beating Penn? What's the spread?
1.5.
Give me 2-1. I'll take Penn State.
2-1.
Yeah, because I think Notre Dame will win too. But I'll just gamble. But you give me 2-1.
I wouldn't want a 2-1. What I would want would be like a points bet. So I would say that that Notre Dame's going to win by a touchdown.
Give me 7.5
I'll give you 7.5
for 30.
for $30.
Okay.
7.5 for $30.
That's too much.
It is. It's a lot. We'll see how it goes. I'm that confident. I'm shooting my
That's a
shot here
bold
with
call.
my
Bold call,
fighting
Pete.
Catholics.
Where's the game?
It's in Florida. They're going to have a home field advantage because all the olds love Florida. So,
Who's Ohio State play? Why am I blanking on this?
Texas.
Yeah. So that game, Texas is a 5.5-point dog. 53.5 points is going to be your over-under there in the Cotton Bowl. That's going to be played in Arlington at the AT&T Stadium. So,
I
there.
wouldn't bet Texas on that one.
I think that Ohio State rolls on that one. So, I don't think either of these ones are going to be close.
I know this is loser mentality, but my level of care for college football has drastically decreased.
And I wanted nothing more.
The lights have gone out.
I kind of think that it's going to be a Texas Notre Dame championship, but saying that probably means it's going to be Ohio State Penn State, which would be gross.
Ohio State, Penn State? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Especially because that Ohio State Penn State game was no fun to watch the first time around when it was at
My God, if it's
Beaver Stadium.
If it's Ohio State Penn State, can you imagine the cockiness of every Big Ten fan?
Yeah, well.
Big Ten is the league. Big Ten is the answer.
Yeah. Well, if the light has gone out in Braxton's eyes there, we can move on to the NFL, and we'll talk about Black Monday first. Already there was the head coaching job that was open there with the Chicago Bears, but then you had the firing of Gerard Mayo with the Patriots, which I very much want to talk about. Doug Peterson, he was let go by the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Las Vegas Raiders, just on Tuesday afternoon, go ahead and one and done Antonio Pierce. And then you have Robert Saleh, who was also fired midseason. New Orleans Saints, Dennis Allen fired midseason. And I think those are your 6 openings right now. So let's talk about the Patriots first, because I think that Jerod Mayo very much got he got hoodwinked. I mean, like, he was the coach in waiting for 5 years there with Bill Belichick. Things don't go well in the first year. Shocker. You do end up finding supposedly your franchise quarterback here. But Mike Vrabel, who is this Ring of Honor Patriots guy, is still out there. He's the belle of the ball in this coaching cycle. They go off and they, in the first day, interview Byron Leftwich and Pep Hamilton, 2 black coaches who don't even have jobs right now, just so they could satisfy the Rooney Rule, so that they can try and hire Mike Vrabel right away. It's a disgrace. It's absolutely disgraceful. And this happens over and over and over again, especially to black coaches. Lovie Smith, a prime example of this, Antonio Pierce. And now you've got Jerod Mayo, who are just shown the door so quickly. I don't want to make it a race thing, but this whole thing with Mike Vrabel and how they're trying to, like, slide this one through is shameful, in my opinion.
I think this is just what's presented to us. I think the writing's been on the wall, and it's not a surprise to me. No matter how the season have gone for the Patriots, Vrabel's been waiting in the wings. Like, Kraft has been talking to Vrabel. I mean, Gronk said the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
If Mayo even had a 500 season, Vrabel was coming in to take over.
But why not hire him last year? Because Bill Belichick handpicked Jerod Mayo and you just felt obligated to pick the guy?
Because it was a fucking rebuilding year no matter what, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, they probably, made some big promises and said, hey, we'll give you a chance. And then it obviously didn't work out, and he's gonzo. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a very odd scenario, just looking at, just as you explained it, for you to kind of make all these moves just to get back to what everybody kind of thought was going to happen. It's I don't know, it's weird.
It's the business of the fucking league. The coaches are the scapegoats.
Yeah.
It's always going to be the coaches.
Yeah, and I just think that it's like, I don't know, when you had your opportunity last year, when Vrabel was kind of not really a coach that people wanted to touch. Obviously, his breakup with the Titans was very messy. Like, all of a sudden 1 year goes by and it's like, oh crap, did we all just forget that this guy exists, type of a thing. So Antonio Pierce, that one was always shocking from the jump anyways. I mean, like, he did a serviceable job as an interim, but it was kind of surprising that they even hired him in the first place. So he's also the one and done. I don't know what the Raiders are going to do here. What are they going to, I mean, like, it just seems like maybe they're like an up and coming. I see like the Raiders and like the Saints in that, who will end up hiring a coach that has no notoriety, that they're just going to take a gamble on.
It's easier for them to recycle. It's like you almost have to blow everyone out of the water if you become head coach, and the expectations are not fair. It's like if you fall below this unrealistic expectation, you're gone, because they're not going to blame it on the number 1 draft pick or anyone else. Like, you will always be the scapegoat. This has been the NFL business for fucking decades.
Yeah.
With the exception of Eberflus. Eberflus has always sucked, so I don't know why he got the fucking... he got the extension longer than anyone.
Right.
The teams that you mentioned, the Saints, the Raiders, even the Bears, I think those 3 teams are going to be, bottom of the barrel as far as what options are left, once the coaching cycle has kind of ended. I don't think anybody of any like prominence in coaching is going to have one of those teams on the top of their list.
I think too that, like, when GMs stick around after the firing of a coach, I think that there's like a degree of like caution that one needs to take as well, when, like, because you're the next guy out. It's interesting. Shad, whatever his name is, the owner of the Jaguars today, was asked on a conference call. Shad Khan, thank you, was asked, and Trent Baalke was on a conference call with them. They're taking questions, and someone asks to the effect of, if a head coaching candidate comes in and gives you a compelling reason as to why you should get rid of medical staff, and they even said, or members of the front office, with Trent Baalke sitting right there, like, would you take that seriously and evaluate it? And if they gave you that compelling reason, he said, yeah, I would. If they raised a legitimate concern, I would reevaluate that. So what I'm saying is that, like, Trent Baalke, Ryan Poles, these guys who still have their jobs after a head coaching fire are probably going to try and hire someone who's like a favorable person that they know. I know that there's a lot of connection between Eric Bieniemy and Ryan Poles with the Bears, so I wouldn't be like terribly surprised to see a Bieniemy name start to catch up. I know that he's talked glowingly so far. I mentioned a few weeks ago on this podcast. So I wouldn't be surprised if they even go after a guy like Bieniemy with the Bears.
I mean, that would be almost best case scenario for the Bears. I mean, if you're looking at the lineup of coaches that are legitimately, that they have a legitimate chance at getting, he's got to be one of the better options, you'd think.
Yeah. Let's see. Then you have, I don't even know what the Jets are going to do. The Jets, like, freaking interviewed Rex Ryan again, which is wild. Like, they announced today, this wasn't even just like a kind of thing. They announced it officially that they interviewed Rex Ryan. It's wild.
If Rodgers were to stick around, he would hate him. He would hate Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
But that's the reason they'd get him, is to drive Aaron out.
Yeah, for sure.
Because didn't Rex Ryan already say, like, I'm gonna put the guardrails on Aaron Rodgers?
So
and I mean, I'm not a Rodgers fan, so I don't give a fuck. But that, like, having a control freak of a coach like that would just not go well.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible too that you get both coordinators of the Lions out the door. I mean, what the Lions did to the Vikings this past week to only allow 9 points, no touchdown, shut down Sam Darnold, who all of a sudden just, like, everyone thinks is a scrub quarterback, and maybe he is, I don't know, was very impressive. So both coordinators possibly out the door. But
we said that about Ben Johnson last year.
We did say that about Ben Johnson.
The thing is that the OC position is not it's not looked at the same anymore. It's not like, hey, this is a stepping stone for you to become a head coach. A lot of guys like just staying in that position, especially if you're seeing success. So
yeah,
who knows?
True. And some guys, yeah, I mean, it's like maybe you just kind of like the responsibility of being a career coordinator.
The X factor will always be the money. Because at some point, if you're Ben Johnson, and if you're a very successful offensive coordinator, and you're offered tens of millions of dollars even to try to turn a franchise around, why not give it a shot?
Right.
Because you fall back to being an OC, which people know you've been successful. I mean, Arthur
Smith, yeah, he's getting some consideration.
Fucking failed at Atlanta,
right?
And now he's a pretty good OC. And,
yeah, Pittsburgh.
Fuck
right?
knows.
So, and two, then you also have oh man, I had a very good thought on that, and now I can't remember.
All the head coaching, like the carousel and all the movement and all that shit, you always just got to look at the ownership.
Yeah,
because you look at like somebody like a Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, their loyalty to Mike Tomlin is second to none.
Yeah,
and granted, he's had like winning seasons. I'm pretty sure every single season he's been there.
He's never had a losing
But
season.
you have ownership that would say, well, you can't reach the mountaintop, so you're fucking out.
Yeah, I mean, like, it comes back to like what happened with the Blazers, right? They got rid of Terry Stotts after years of making the playoffs. If they end up losing again, the Steelers, in the first round, I still don't think that anything changes for Mike Tomlin.
I think that the optics, like you like to talk about, the optics of certain organizations or coaching staff or whatever, the team, it's like, look at Robert Kraft. I mean, do we think Robert Kraft is a great owner? No, he's not.
No.
The thing is, Robert Kraft could be making all these shitty moves too, but guess what? The Patriots were dominant for 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
He didn't have to make any decisions on getting rid of anyone, you just ran into a Bill Belichick and you ran into a Tom Brady that said, "Hey, I'd take less money just so we can be successful." I mean, that is 1 in a million that you would run into that shit.
Yeah.
That is a best case scenario everywhere you go.
And I think that like untouchable franchise, if I were like a head coaching candidate, I'm looking at the pool and I'm saying there's kind of a reason why a lot of these openings happen is because of these reactionary owners. And Woody Johnson with the Jets, you don't want that. Shad Khan, I don't think I want the Jaguars. I mean, they're investing a lot within their capital. They're going to have a new stadium. That's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. The Saints, I don't know much about the owner, but I know about a lot about like the Benson group, which is like the owners of both the Saints and the Pellet. Like they literally own everything, but then the old guy died, and so now it's like the daughter or the wife or something like that. You're obviously not going to the Raiders because of Al Davis, whichever Davis.
Tom Brady's the new head coach of the Raiders.
Right. And then you've got that influence of Tom Brady who's going to be in there. So you kind of look at these openings, you go, well, no shit. Like, look at the owner.
You know who ain't got no problems? The fucking Kansas City Chiefs, man.
Sure
As much as people hate them, they're going to win the whole thing. Again, Josh Allen's still going to run into Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes will win his 15th Super Bowl in 4 years.
Black Monday did take out a number of other things. The Bengals get rid of their defensive coordinator. That guy's taking the fall there. The Seahawks get rid of their offensive coordinator. He's taking the fall there. So, like, and then it's interesting that Shane Steichen, the head coach of the Colts, and their GM, they keep their job. Then you get the Giants with Dable and, I can't remember the name of their GM. I can see his face. He's the one that Mora, yeah. Mara. It's the actress's name. It's never great, though, when your owner has to come out with a statement to say that they support you, right? Because it's just kind of like they feel obligated to do it. There's tons of other places like playoff team. Like, imagine if the Chiefs came out and said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and keep Andy Reid this year.
I just want to get...
It's not a great move where you have to come out and support that.
The part where the NFL... as a business, as an organization, starts considering civilians that are really good at Madden and fantasy football and start considering them to be a coach. Because pretty good at Madden. I have 7 fantasy championships. I could run an organization.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a couple years.
You would or just be a one and done, and then you can get
That's fine too. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm
that
smoking
should
blacks
be
on
like
the sideline.
In addition to the Rooney Rule, if you go 0-16, you have to like consider a fan as a head coach. You have to
interview a fan. Yeah.
And if you get certain amount of like fan votes, then he can become the coach.
This is a little off topic, and maybe this is something I could ask after, but I don't give a fuck. I am curious what our rule is in our fantasy league. There has been at least 3 leagues that I've seen online that have the championship ended in a dead tie. Like 138.6 even. And everyone's comments were like, well, what's the tiebreaker? What's the tiebreaker? What do you know what our tiebreaker is as the commissioner?
I think there's multiple levels.
There's one I heard that's really bad, and I would hate it if that's ours. So I saw in one of those 3 leagues that they ended up in a tie in a championship game, and the tiebreaker were bench points. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. That is a horrible way to break this tie.
Yeah.
No, if that is, it would be like the 4th level of a tiebreaker. But I think it's either regular season record or regular season points scored.
Total points. Okay.
Yeah, I think those.
I would take those 2
levels.
over bench points because bench points is crazy.
That is crazy.
Or it might be playoff points scored. I know bench points. If it's even an option, it's well down the list.
We do have the NFL. I guess I don't necessarily know if we need to do much about like weekend review. I ended up tailing a couple of like incentive bonuses that I got cashed out on, which was great. The Mike Evans one was nice. The Derrick Henry one, gosh, that guy.
How did you win the Mike Evans one?
I don't actually think I won the Mike Evans.
No.
one.
There's nobody I know in this lifetime
Right.
that gambles
because of
that
the
did-
90-yard thing.
that didn't
Right.
take that incentive.
Yeah,
Because everyone I know who gambles took the Mike, because that was a twofer.
that's right. I didn't win that one.
Baker Mayfield had to get a bonus. Baker Mayfield stood to get a bonus from that game. He had to finish in the top 10 for passing yards and passing completions. So you know that him and Mike Evans were going to target each other.
Yeah.
Now, DraftKings, this is how I saw a fucking,
Gumbags
I
they
saw
are,
a fucking
yeah.
post. Is like, who really came out from the incentive bets? Well, FanDuel and DraftKings did, because Mike Evans needed 85 yards and 5 receptions.
Yep.
The way they did it is at minimum 6.5 receptions is the minimum you can bet, and 90 yards is the minimum you can bet. I hit the receptions, but he finished with 89 fucking yards.
Yeah.
Because I took all of those. J.K. Dobbins didn't score a touchdown,
No.
and Jigba didn't get 5 receptions. Geno Smith didn't throw for 175 yards.
Which is wild. Yeah, I tried to get on that one.
Derrick
too.
Henry got the touchdown. Jamar Chase got the touchdown. Tony Pollard didn't score a touchdown. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But I still hit a
You know
I
what?
still hit some bets.
You know what got me? These were my winners. I tailed Derrick Henry and Cortland Sutton incentive bets.
Yeah, but I tied those with the other, so
Yeah.
fuck.
I think that I ended up like kind of in a wash. And not only that, I needed the Detroit Viking the Lions Vikings game to go over 43.5. That game, that was bet down 13 points. The original line on that was 56.5.
I took the over 58 on that. What the fuck happened?
So that was terrible. I think that was Walsh's teaser. Is now the second or third time. I think the third time this year.
I told him we're gonna stop, and you should have stopped.
And it blew it. It's his fault because he should not have had 2 bets on that game. He is a Vikings fan. He flew, to borrow your phrase, he flew too close to the sun on that one. He should not have.
I want to know who had the Jameer Gibbs 4 touchdown ticket.
Touchdowns. My
Jesus.
God.
I was trying to find what the odds would be. I doubt you could even.
I looked it up. It wasn't available because you can get from the sports book, you can see up to 3+ touchdowns, and I can see, like, just kind of doing it in my head and gambling enough and comparing it. I kind of compared it to Derrick Henry because they have the same odds. So Derrick Henry to score 3 touchdowns was plus 3,000. So I would assume that Jameer Gibbs scoring 3+ touchdowns would be around the same.
Yeah.
So if a 4+ touchdown was available, you probably would get Jameer Gibbs at plus 7,500 or something like that, which would have been fucking incredible.
Yeah. I will tell you though, I tried after his first touchdown because I had a touchdown anytime touchdown parlay that I don't think ended up hitting, but he was part of it. And I was like, okay, I want to see if I can get him on a second touchdown at minimum as a live bet, and it wouldn't let me. I couldn't find it. I typed in his name and everything. It was not an option during the game to be able to bet another touchdown for Gibbs, at least when I was looking. So
I didn't come close to, I've been winning NFL bets, but this week I didn't come close to any NFL bets at all. But the college one, man, I had $40 on a ticket to win like $450. And I missed it by the Boise State spread. Because Ohio State won, ASU covered 13.5, and what was the other fucking game?
Which one? The Notre Dame
The
game?
college game, the Notre Dame
The
game,
Notre Dame
maybe.
Boise
Georgia
State,
game?
Penn State.
No, Notre Dame money line over Georgia. Man, yeah, the Boise State one just didn't. I had them at plus 11, and they were driving. They were down 20.
Yeah.
And they were driving.
And Genty was chasing.
And I was like, oh my God, they're in the red zone. They'll cover.
Yeah.
And then the fucking guy threw a pick, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just like Pat Beverly, I missed by 1.
I put a few incentive bets in. There was one I put together that was like $1 to win $3,000 or something. And yeah, I think I hit on like 2 out of the 14 legs. It was exhilarating.
Exhilarating, huh?
Tell you what, dollar bets, doesn't damage you at all, but when it hits, it's beautiful.
It's a beauty. It's a beauty. You know what? And you're a real asshole again too, because I thought that what was it? Let's read this text conversation.
That was real.
dick.
That was real.
It
dumb
was
of him to
dumb of
believe.
me. I think I was drinking. Let's see.
Because whenever I win a bet, what's the first thing I do? I send the ticket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one I
It was-
send a message.
Yeah. Because I said
Come on.
It was
I
very
said
obvious
after-
that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I sent a text message after the Sunday Night Football game that says, I tailed Walsh's teaser again, and it loses again. Miguel writes, I put $10 on alt total of under 41.5, Gibbs 2+ touchdowns, Lions minus 14.5, and less than 5 touchdowns scored at plus 85.50. And I was like, dude, are you saying you just won $850?
It was such a.
Or am I
but
misreading that?
It was such a dumb response that I doubled down. I go, oh my bad, I put 20 on it.
$20. My bad. And I said, show it. And you go,
Well-
immediately, I made that up. I didn't win. And I was like, I fucking
it's-
believed you.
It was literally like when you read the message he sent, it's like he opened up the box score and just like riddled down the stats that were right in front of him. We're like, yep, I just hit all these.
It was too good to be true, wasn't it? Yeah.
Who in their right mind that's a fucking degenerate
Yeah.
alt totals that game under 41.5?
Nobody, right?
Not
Yeah.
one person in the world.
Well, that's
And
probably
ta-
what would have got you to 8,500.
And takes the Lions at a minus 13 or whatever you said. It's like nobody
really-
would have done that.
It was, in hindsight, not smart of
And
me.
the fact that I don't bet more than $1.
Yeah, I did say, I was like, it's a guy.
And Miguel's not that smart to put all those together. Come on.
You,
Not at all.
you
That's
back-
proved. That's a proven fact.
Right. Yeah, you're not betting. You're not betting $1 on to get $84
If you think about those four,
and have knowledge.
if you think about those four bets that you put together, they would each be sitting at like plus 300 together,
Yeah,
individually put together. There's
that's
no
probably
way.
true. Yeah, you're probably.
So with the playoff picture in order, do you guys, I know we talked about this maybe the last time we recorded, or I don't know, but I know we kind of said, hey, here's the teams that we think are going to be in the Super Bowl. Here's who we could win it. Have any of you guys had any changes to that? I know a lot of us were, kind of Chiefs, Ravens, Bills from the AFC, Eagles, Lions from the NFC. Are you guys kind of still in that grouping?
I'll start. So there's one, I believe in superstition and like shit, like stars lining up. And the whole thing with the Ravens, with the stars aligning so that they win the Super Bowl every 12 years, it's kind of strange. So they won in 2000, they won in 2012.
Are we at 12 years
No,
again?
we're at 12 years again.
Oh boy.
So that's kind of hard to argue against. It's fun to think about, but I think the team, and this just supports my bet. I do have a bet of the Eagles winning the NFC and Kansas City winning the AFC together. I think the most favorable part of the bracket is the Philadelphia Eagles. They have kind of a team on a downturn like Green Bay, and then they play, if they get through Green Bay, which is kind of they're kind of in a slump, they play the winner of the Vikings and the Rams. So I think the Eagles has the best route to get to the Super Bowl, and with some luck, the Lions could lose. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? But I feel like the big part of the Lions win with the Vikings is they were at home, and they're going to be at home again, obviously. The only team I can see trouncing the Eagles are the Lions, and the only team I can see beating the Chiefs are the Ravens. I am not putting the Bills in there at all. I don't think the Bills are going to get through Kansas City or Baltimore.
I think that again, this whole it's hard to beat a team twice, and the Bills took it earlier in the year against the Chiefs, so I tend to agree with you a little bit. I think that I would love for the Lions to be there. They feel like it feels like destiny that they need to be there. I am looking at, a lot of people have superstitions about what the Super Bowl logo looks like, and it is red and purple and green. And so I don't know how to decipher that, but usually a lot of people, so that to me sounds like the Chiefs, and the green would maybe be the Eagles.
That
could be,
argument, that thing was
that could be
trounced
the
last
Ravens.
year.
Huh?
Yeah, that's true.
That thing was
the purple
trounced
could be
last
the
year.
Ravens.
Yeah. Because remember, they had purple last year, and people were like, "Oh, Baltimore,"
Yeah.
and then it ended up being two red teams. So
That's true.
I think, like we said before, for the fans, for gambling, Lions and Bills would be fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But
I was just
I don't
gonna say
know.
that.
I don't know any coach that's better prepared in the Super Bowl than Andy Reid. Until it's the same way that we have talked about the New England Patriots. Until Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are out of the Chiefs, I can't bet against them. I can't think that they're not going to be there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Miguel. I think that, if the Chiefs, catch a bad game in the second round or whatever, that's one thing. But if they're in the Super Bowl, I think they win it. I think somebody's got to kick them out beforehand. But I totally agree. I think seeing a Bills Detroit or Bills Philly would be just an awesome Super Bowl. But in my eyes tell me that probably won't happen, at least for the Bills. I think the Ravens have a better chance of getting to that AFC spot over the Chiefs rather than the Bills. But we'll see.
I think that here's a couple of things that we need to remember about the Super Bowl. The biggest travesty with this year's Super Bowl is the fact that Lil Wayne's not performing at halftime in his fucking hometown.
Yeah.
And it's fucking...
You got Kendrick.
It's Kendrick Lamar because he's trending. You go with the hometown guy, man. It's an absolute missed opportunity to not have Lil Wayne there. Number two, we're going to be watching that Super Bowl in Cabo, in Mexico, outside.
With a private ship.
I already have the TV outside. There's a TV by the pool. The chef is going to be making all the fucking food, and we're going to be drinking outside in 85-degree weather.
It's going to be great.
Watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Until then, though, we have some wild card games to talk about. We have the Chargers and the Texans. The Texans, the AFC South champion, so they've got they're hosting the Chargers. The Chargers favored by 3 here. I think the Chargers win this game. I don't think that, especially with the loss of Tank Dell, the way that CJ Stroud has had his sophomore slump, it just doesn't when we're looking at how teams are trending as they're passing each other, the Texans to me are trending downwards while the Chargers are very much trending upwards.
That's a pretty even and interesting game to me. I almost want to bet on it.
Chargers -3 with a 42.5.
Yeah, I personally I agree with you. I like the Chargers coming into this game. I think they have the momentum.
I will tell you, I would imagine that at a -3, you're probably looking at a +130, maybe a +136. There you go. So +136 for the Texans.
At Houston.
It is at Houston. Yeah.
I'll bet with you if you give me the 3.
DraftKings has it at 2.5.
I'll take the 3.
You'll take the 3.
I'll take the Texans +3. I'll bet $20.
$20. I'll do it.
Just to gamble.
As a great Chargers fan, I will take that.
Perfect.
So. Okay, then you have the Ravens. They are a 9.5-point favorite. That is the largest point spread of the weekend with the Steelers. I think that the Ravens, I don't know if this is going to turn out. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll be a trouncing. I don't feel like while the commentators were all slobbering over Lamar Jackson this past weekend about how he should be MVP and all this other stuff, then he proceeds to scramble around, get a few yards, throw 150 yards in the win. It wasn't overly oh my gosh, I can't. Everyone needs to avoid this Ravens team right now.
Here's the thing. before we continue with the wild card matchups, the whole MVP conversation, I won't change my position on that. I think Josh Allen deserves it because of the team that's around him and what he's been able to do. I think the argument for Lamar Jackson is absolutely fair. The thing that's fucking with people is this is like the NBA having to make a decision on whether to give it to Jokic for the third time.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we all know that Embiid MVP was not deserved at all. He cried about it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't give it to a fucking European player because it will change the entire history of the game.
Yeah.
The thing with Lamar is he deserving of every, like, the argument of being MVP this year? Absolutely. His numbers are insane.
Yeah.
But you could almost blame that to last season. You can technically say he didn't deserve, like, not that he didn't deserve the MVP last season. It's just no one was good enough to even be in the conversation.
Yeah.
Lamar's numbers last year were not that great. It's just no one else was at that level.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to talk about him because he had doubled those fucking numbers. And for you to give it to him last year and then he improves on those numbers this year and to not talk about him would be insane. So I get why Josh Allen has gone from like minus 700 to now like minus 120. But I would give it to Josh Allen still. I mean, technically, I'd give it to fucking Saquon if it was up to me because I hate that it's a quarterback award.
I have an MVP bet here on good old Josh Allen. It was like $10 at plus 475, so I think it's only going to get me like, $50, but
Better than
That's not
nothing.
bad.
better than nothing. Okay, so we have. Do you guys think that the Ravens roll in that game, or is it like?
No.
Is it like kind of a scrappier game because that's what the Steelers kind of are?
I think the Ravens win. If they lose, I won't be surprised. I don't think the Ravens blow out the Steelers. I know the Steelers have, like, there's two teams that have been kind of on a downward turn with zero momentum going into the playoffs, and that's the Steelers and the Green Bay Packers. They have not looked good in the last couple weeks. But
Same with the Texans.
yeah, and but the Texans have kind of looked like that all season, though. Like, they have not
True.
looked like they
True.
did last season. But talk about the two teams that were leading their divisions. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers were number one in that division basically through week 12, just to like look like shit the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Green Bay, you can't discount how great Green Bay has been throughout the season because the Lions and the Vikings have been insanely good.
Right.
But Green Bay's 11-5. They've just looked like shit the last 2 weeks.
And they did lose Christian Watson as well, a deep threat.
Yeah, and like Jordan Love has been, basically been questionable every week.
Yeah.
But the Steelers, that defense will come in ready. I think 9.5. I'm not saying that's crazy, but this isn't a 35-10 game. If the Ravens win, I won't be shocked. But if the Steelers either pull it off or cover that spread, that is not surprising at all.
Side note, did you guys see Malik Willis get absolutely fucked in that game? It's just like a wide, I think it was a linebacker who came off the edge. Maybe it was even like a safety, like a delayed safety, but just absolutely clear run and just trucked him.
Just right after Love got hurt.
Yeah, right after Love got hurt too. I was talking with Lindsay, or she was saying something. I just go, ooh. Just watch it anyways. Okay, so you've got the Broncos and Bills. Broncos. Your Bo Nix thoughts, Braxton, came very much.
Yeah, what a pickle for you. Bo Nix and Josh Allen facing each other, huh?
If you had Bo Nix throwing more touchdowns this year than Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, literally Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, literally everyone. Bo Nix was ranked the 6th highest with, what was that? 29 touchdown passes this year. Better than all those quarterbacks I just listed.
Yeah, and I should have listened to myself all those months ago when I was saying Bo Nix at the end of the season will be the best rookie quarterback. I should have put a bet for him to be Rookie of the Year. Do you think he'll win it? Or do you
No,
think they'll
No,
go?
Jaden
No,
Daniels.
Jaden
gonna win.
Daniels
Jaden
has
Daniels.
got that luck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll bet you right now.
No, that's okay.
I mean, the Commanders
no.
are also in the playoffs because of his performance as well. So
Yeah,
I think that
for sure.
uh,
But
But-
good for him. I mean, I don't think that the Broncos are going to win, but I'm super excited to see a Duck player doing well.
8.5 points is your spread there for the visiting Broncos to Buffalo, with 46.5 as your over under.
You know,
They might be able to cover that.
I just have to take this back to Oregon because why not? This is an Oregon episode.
Yeah.
How come a Duck's opinion of a former Duck in the NFL is always like the measure is always how the quarterback is doing. It's always about Justin Herbert, and it's always about Bo Nix, or like how Mariota is doing, or Bucky Irving. Like, if you guys are Oregon fans, why weren't you cheering for Patrick Chung, a fucking incredible safety for the New England Patriots for 15 years?
How do you think I wasn't?
Where's
here?
the because I've known you this entire time. You know what happened?
What
to
about Haloti Nada with
great
the
defensive
Ravens?
players?
Huh?
Hey, what about talking about Eric Armstead? Eric Armstead's been a dominant fucking D lineman for the league as a former Duck. It's always the offensive players that get the nod.
I'm
about
happy
defense,
for all
man?
those guys.
Yeah, what
mean,
about
that's just
Christian
how the NFL
Gonzalez?
is.
Ever heard of him?
You guys all care about the glory. You all care about the touchdowns.
What about Ugo Amadi? Ugo Amadi, I think he's with the Steelers, isn't he?
You're not even sure.
I'm not
Fucking
sure.
fake.
I just know he had a really good tackle this weekend. But tackle, I know.
Just shout out to the
Oh,
defense,
he was
man.
with the
Shout out to the
Saints. I think he was
defensive
with the
players.
Saints, actually.
Defense is where it's at.
Yeah.
It's what wins championships.
Okay, so Miguel, what do you think? 8.5, is that too much, too little for good old Bills?
I think Bills cover that easy.
All right, Bills cover that according to you. And then we've got the Packers Eagles. A little bit of the last couple weeks with the Eagles resting and hurt players and all this other stuff. So I am curious. Hurts hurt. So I'm curious. 4.5 point favorite against the Packers. Packers, remember last year, infamously coming out and beating the NFC East winner in the Dallas Cowboys the way that they
If
did.
Jalen Hurts is playing, they cover 4.5. If Tanner McKee is playing, I'm scared.
I think that the books are assuming that he is playing.
Tanner McKee is?
No,
Oh God.
Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
They
Tanner
would be-
McKee
they
is
would
kind
not
of
be-
electric, though.
Is he? Where the fuck is this guy from?
You know who was electric this weekend was what's his bucket? Milton or whatever from on the Patriots.
Joe Milton
Oh.
with a backflip. Fucking backflip.
Tennessee QB.
So,
The reason they didn't get the first pick.
yeah, exactly.
What a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. Commanders, Buccaneers is your next one. The Buccaneers, just a nice, cool 3-point favorite at
That
home.
of all the games, that is a lose-lose game for me.
Yeah.
God, do I want the Bucks to fucking win. I want Baker to stick it to everybody who hasn't believed in him. I want Mike Evans to stick it to everybody who hasn't believed in him. As much as he is a former Duck, I love Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving's fucking incredible in the
Boom.
pros.
You heard
And
it.
I had him in my fantasy team.
He was great. He was a great pickup.
Great
this year.
fantasy
Yeah.
because Rashad White, for some reason, just fell off
Yeah.
out of nowhere. And Bucky has been producing 100-yard games like left and right. But I want fucking Jaden Daniels to win.
Yeah.
Like, this game sucks for me because I want both teams to win this fucking game.
Commanders at plus 145, probably your best value play, I think, there. I might throw some money there.
Jaden Daniels is so fun to watch, man.
And if you would have told us at the beginning of the season, the Buccaneers are going to play the Commanders in a playoff game, and it might be the best playoff matchup of the opening playoff weekend.
The weekend.
I don't think anybody would have believed you.
There's just so many, like, that is one of those games, the reason why it's tough to cheer against one. There's so many likable people. Like,
Agreed.
it's not like flashy players, but likable players. The Mike Evans, the Terry McLaurins of the world, the Jaden Daniels, Baker. You love to watch those guys win. And I hate that somebody has to lose that game. Like, I almost wish they weren't playing each other.
So I want you to make a pick though. +3, +3.
Like as a fan or someone that's betting. Because betting, it's an absolute value bet to take the Commanders.
Yeah.
I would take the Commanders if we were betting. Are we making a bet?
Well, I have been tallying your.
Yeah, we should.
I've been tallying Miguel's specifically. And then your last one, you have the Vikings as a 1.5 point favorite on the road, and this is a week after all this other stuff. Are the Vikings the ones that fall on their face and prove everyone right that they were frauds, or are they going to come back like Dan Campbell said when he said, "See you in 2 weeks"?
That's a 50-50 answer. No matter what happens on Monday, Vikings are not frauds. Sam Darnold was not a fraud. That 14-3 record was fucking earned every step of the way. I don't think they beat the Rams. The Rams are fucking rolling. The only thing that was wrong with the LA Rams is everyone was hurt.
Everyone was
As
hurt,
soon as they came back, they went from not making the playoffs to winning the fucking division. I don't think this is one of those Vikings, this is one of those teams where you come off of a horrible loss and you bounce back and you just dominate. I think the Rams are they playing at home?
Yeah, they were NFC West winners.
I think the Rams win this.
And they just have
Braxton.
more experience. I feel like that team has been there, and their coach has been there. Whereas with the Vikings, I feel like they lack in those areas. So I tend to agree with you.
It also sucks to pick against the Vikings because I love Justin Jefferson more than a lot of players. I love Addison. I love TJ Hawkinson. But I'm going to look at two things. As much as I love Kevin O'Connell, I will give the edge to Sean McVay. Sean McVay is a goddamn genius. That whole crew of McVay and Shanahan and the Packers one, weren't they all together? Like Mike McDaniel,
LaFleur.
Those young guys.
All of them were there.
Sean McVay, and then I'm looking at Stafford and Darnold. I love Darnold, but those are the two reasons why I would choose LA.
Well, and let's also remember where Kevin O'Connell came from. He was an offensive coordinator for Sean McVay before he was.
The edge was Sean McVay's been to the Super Bowl as a head coach.
Yeah, I'm saying also like, an advantage to McVay because he's kind of helped build that blueprint as well. So he probably like gets into the mind a little bit. So the odds on your 6 picks, which if we want to go through those, and these are all spread picks, by the way. Rams at +1.5, Commanders at +3, Eagles -4.5, Bills -8.5, Steelers +9.5, and Texans +2.5 for you. Those 6 picks, the odds are +49.80. If we all put $5 in, a $15 bet would pay out $762.89.
I'm down to bet that if you guys are, but the odds are high enough that I'm okay to put less money in because some of those are, it's not like
$3 pays $152.
Let's do $1 each. How about that?
I'm in.
Yeah, let's do $1 each because some of those are questionable.
yeah.
Okay, I thought we were just talking. We can
You
place
guys-
a real. We can place a real one.
You guys can spot me that dollar, right?
Yeah, we'll do 50 cents each.
Your Venmo broke? You got that? Your Venmo broke?
Do you got like? We can ride that parlay, but do you want to place a real one where we all kind of we all put our heads together and like for example, take the Chargers money line. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah. Well, right now my thing is being weird, so it's not. I'll have to do it on my phone. 1 second.
What would we want to do? Like Chargers money line. The Bills and the Ravens are huge.
Are these parlays that we're working on here?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Let's figure it out after the show. I mean, whatever you guys want to do.
We won't. We won't though. That's why we're doing it now.
Okay.
Okay. So these are still up. Hold on.
Place this one first for $3 because that's a huge return.
Yeah. Let me clear that. So let's see. We've got Texans, and then we've got Steelers. We've got Bills, Eagles, Commanders, Rams.
All at the spread.
All at the spread, plus 49.80, $3.
Bang.
I'm going to place an X. No, I'm just going to do 3.
Yeah. Just do
I don't
three.
want to ruin it. $3.
All right, let's do a real one.
Okay.
Quick picks like the fucking
Chargers.
Mega Millions. Chargers money line, we all agree on that.
Ravens money line.
Okay, let's just do money line on each.
Yep.
Bills money line.
Okay.
Eagles money line.
Okay. We're all on favorites here so far.
Tampa Bay to hedge the other one.
Commanders again at your plus 145.
I like Tampa Bay for sure.
Let's do Tampa Bay money line.
And then Rams Vikings.
And then do we stick with the Rams?
Think you have to go
Yeah.
against the grain here, right? Or no?
I'll leave it up to you guys. I can see that
You
one
call
going
it.
either way.
Call it in the air. What do you want?
Vikes.
Vikings.
All right, what's that sit at?
That is at just plus 921.
So we've put $1 each. Let's close it out to all of us spending $5 total. So what's $12 on this?
$12 pays 122.
Let's fucking do it. $5 each. We
There
can
you
do
go.
it.
All right. Bet place there. Taylor bets. That's what we got. Before we get out of here, a couple news and notes in the NBA, as much as we love talking about the NBA. Jimmy Butler suspended 7 games, comments detrimental to the team, blah, blah, blah. Then on the other side, you've got Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic, both benched by the Suns. Bradley Beal then proceeds to score 25 points off the bench. Is willing to waive his no trade clause, by the way, as most recently reported, I think this evening, maybe earlier today, that he would waive it for the Nuggets, Lakers, and Miami Heat. So potentially a Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler swap that we could see there for his way to get to the Suns.
Jimmy's becoming
Jimmy
a
Beal.
cancer, man. He's kind of more of a distraction
Yeah,
than
kind of look internally there, huh?
Yeah, he's more of a distraction than an asset to teams now.
I mean, there's the honeymoon phase, right? You get the whole, like, you know, things were up and down with the Bulls for a long time, but then he gets to this point, then he goes to the Timberwolves, and then we all know how that ended. And it's just kind of like morphing itself. How could you be so upset with a Hall of Fame coach? You're in South Beach. Like, come on. What I mean, like,
He's a
what?
problem.
Because they're like, because you could go to Phoenix, get the dry heat, and then you could maybe play with KD and with Devin Booker. Like, what more do you want? So I think that ultimately continues to be one of my biggest frustrations with the NBA is the ability for players to just dictate. If I were Pat Riley, I would bury him. I would fucking bury him in a place where he doesn't want to go. But
I mean, I don't think Pat Riley's far from doing that.
yeah.
They should send him to Portland, really punish him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right? It's just
Yeah, you can only go up from here if you're Portland. It's not like things are going well.
sure. Yeah.
The free agents, or not the free agency, but like the trade deadline and all the player headaches that's going on in the NBA. That's not even the biggest news in the NBA. The Dwight Howard Shaq beef has been fucking entertaining to watch. I mean, that's been beef for like 10 plus years. But that
What's
and the
going on now?
So, Dwight Howard has a podcast. What happens when you have a podcast is, you know, everyone sees it, just like Paul George and Draymond Green, and you get clowned for it, whatever. And Dwight Howard, you know, was asked a question about how Shaq has been nothing but unfair to him, has always talked shit about him. And I'm absolutely on Dwight Howard's side here. The only thing he doesn't have going for him is Shaq has the most dominant center. His play speaks for himself. But
Right.
Shaq has the biggest ego of anyone that's ever played in the NBA. You see that on Inside the NBA. That's true. Charles. I mean, Shaq is the definition of someone who can dish it but
But
cannot
can't
take it.
Yeah. Well, he immediately wants to fight you or just say you don't have range.
He's so
or-
sensitive.
Yeah.
He is such a sensitive motherfucker. He can't talk shit.
Yeah.
Shaq, same thing with Kobe and all that shit. So Dwight Howard said something to the effect of, this guy's always disrespected me. He's always called me names, and he's absolutely right. He's always done that. And Shaq responds via Twitter or X and said, like, it's funny that you think I this is such a like a 2005 tweet too. It's funny that you think I care. Your name doesn't matter to me. And then he had like 12 hashtags. People were like,
he hashtagged.
Shaq, you think this is 05? Like, we
Yeah,
just followed it with hashtags.
Hashtag Shaqaroni.
And Dwight responds to that. So that's been the beef. And then the other one is the Joy Taylor one.
Oh,
The
God.
Joy Taylor one.
I
was
didn't know if we were going to
Wow.
be talking about that
fucking.
one tonight.
I mean, we don't have to go deep in it, but
Look it up.
I knew
the Joy
I
Taylor
knew
one
Skip
is-
Bayless. I knew we couldn't trust him.
Yeah.
I mean, Skip didn't even get any fucking play. He just offered money and got turned down.
and now it's
Skip got the worst of it.
he's just like every old scummy white man with money. Is really. It's
I mean-
like I've got money to spend.
To offer 1.2 million for a night with Joy Taylor, that's a lot of fucking money, dude.
Yeah.
I'd take it.
I don't know if I want to be called Skip Bayless anymore.
You will.
Yeah, I don't know if that's up to you.
Yeah, but the whole Joy Taylor.
What's the name of the former NFL player with the flat top?
Emmanuel Acho?
Acho.
Yeah.
That video of him in his car doing talking about something.
Slobbering all over her.
And
Sorry, I shouldn't say it like that.
People were saying that he had just met with Joy Taylor, and every 5 seconds he's smelling his finger. It's one of the best fucking videos. He's talking about sports, just going, yeah, and 25 points, 11 rebounds. And then he just kept sniffing his fucking fingers. Is incredible. It is one of the best videos ever.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
that's how it
goodness.
goes.
And I'm sure you guys follow KFC, KFC Barstool.
Yeah.
The Jason Whitlock. Did you see that
That was
video?
hilarious.
Oh my God.
Oh,
About Joy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did you see what Jason Whitlock said?
I saw something to the effect. Oh,
This isn't KFC talking shit about him. This is Jason Whitlock fucking outing himself like a fucking moron.
I think he said something really creepy.
He said something to basically get everyone to clown on him. He goes, he basically said, as soon as she joined the team, I knew that if I was around her, not these exact words, if I was around her, I would not be able to control myself.
That's what he. Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
dude, you look like a fat cockroach. Like,
Yeah.
what makes you think she's gonna be down for it?
Yeah, I mean, she don't
You-
want to be with Zion.
You need to find that that clip, Pete, from that KFC rant, because he pops up this picture of him wearing like a fedora. He looks like an absolute milk dud.
Milk Dud's a
it's-
great insult. though.
I love the words that came out of his mouth. Was just like Joy Taylor didn't have any say in it. It's just like she would not be able to control herself. And Jason Whitlock was around.
What, are
and
you
he
wearing
was saying-
Sex Panther?
And he was like, "Oh yeah, if she was around me with that like big rack, like hell
He
of
kept
a
saying
rack
rack.
or so." Yeah, and it was like, "What are we doing?"
It's a good thing we don't got HR here. It just makes sense.
We're our own HR. Nobody's getting fired.
Hell yeah, brothers.
That's all I've got for you.
Yeah. You want some wings? We're about to eat some wings.
Some wings.
I do want some wings. I'll be there in 45.
So are you gonna say it?
Clear eyes.
Full heart.
Can't lose.